In episode 14 on Gathering Materia, we told a story in which there was an animal that I needed, and I was very vague about it. Some of you know what it is, most of you don't know what it is. That's okay. It's not that it's that secret, it's more that it betrays some things to people who know. If you know, you know. But there was an animal I needed. And it was like the taxidermists were not getting back to me. Like they didn't have it. Nobody had it. Even like friends who are like notable taxidermy specialists and no taxidermists were like calling their friends in the industry, and none of them could find this thing. And lo and behold, we did a little road opening and to get this particular materia, and Key on his way to the gym sees it in the rearview mirror. This has repeated itself now, but worse because it's even
Mhm.
rarer and even harder to come by.
Oh yeah. It's quite the marvel, the things that show up in the rearview mirror when you go into the
Yeah,
gym.
yeah, thank you for getting an owl.
Hmm.
He is indeed the barn owl Key.
Very true. Just have to find things from time to time and do with them what needs to be done.
No, I was legit nervous. It's the same
Hmm.
situation always. I'm like, oh, this thing, I need this animal, I need this part, or I need this material, I need this kind of dirt, and I'm like, I'm a little nervous. I'm not gonna have time to get it. This is nerve-wracking. And then always somebody in our friend group will be like, I found it. Listen, expedite
Hmm.
that happened too, because we were on a voice call together, all of us, with plus Mohegan and a few others, and then your neighbor calls you mid-call and is like, hey, go outside, there's like a crow on the ground. And you like sprint and get it. And like in this case, I mean, dude, thanks for the owl, man. Like that will soon be integrated, shall we say.
Oh man, I bet it will be.
That's why you label things, because they all look gray in the end when they're powders.
Hmm. Very true.
Is this the give everyone bad luck forever powder, or is this the cure your worst migraines ever powder? Like which one is it?
Hmm.
They're both solid gray.
Hmm. One very fun way to find out, and
Yeah.
one way to avoid having to do that very fun way to find out. So label, double label even.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And speaking of a avian magics, let's talk about that golden hen.
Yeah, yeah. And even on the nose, that good old Black Pullet, and in some editions, the Black Screech Owl.
Ooh,
Um,
I did not
so
know that.
mhm. Yeah, yeah. And so today we will be having a look at the treasure of the Old Man of the Pyramids. Um, one of the classics of French paperback grimoires.
I fucking love an old man in a pyramid, dude. Give me the sacred magic of Arbel and the mage any day.
I just want to know, the old man, is he an alien? Are the pyramids the ones built by aliens or the ones built by the Egyptians? Like, what's going on here?
Oh man, in one of the editions that I managed to track down in preparation for this episode, there is an image of the old man himself, to be venerated by the practitioner. So I'll be sure to include that in the show notes for this episode, along with many other wonderful things.
There was a meme that I was looking at earlier that was like something I think from Dance Moms or one of those like reality TV shows. And it's just this caption says Pharaoh after the 10 plagues when he lets the Israelites go. And it's just like the main person, the main like woman who like trains the children to dance, as it were, in this very obviously abusive fucking TV show to be like, we're not having a pyramid. I don't have enough people to do a pyramid. We're not doing the pyramid anymore.
Mhm. It's so funny. And problems that the old man never had to face.
be not alarmed at the frightful howls which you may hear. It's Svinga, Salt, and no, it's not Black Pullet key. Too easy. It's buying his first grimoire and a Botanica key. Which also
Yeah,
my
yeah.
first grimoire. So I think this is something that we don't share in common because probably not as common in England. But for those of us who grew up around any kind of like Botanica type style store, this is everywhere.
hmm Yeah, you all have seen it and know it well. It's that $12 black and gold paperback from Weiser.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So when did you first encounter the Black Pullet?
Honestly, that's actually a difficult question. I know I ran into, I think it was, back in the day, obviously, as a teenager, and this was when torrenting was still, one of the main ways people would access books and stuff. Obviously, we don't advocate piracy now, but when you're 15, 16, you're, you know, a little bit more willing to attain things for free because you have no cash, right? And I think it was just in a giant bundle of PDFs that I picked up off the Pirate Bay.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
I think it's, one of those versions that's like just randomly typed up, terrible typefacing and everything like that. But it's free, who cares?
Those are the best. I have
Yeah.
fond memories.
Oh yeah, I mean that's like the era that came right after the Angel Fire internet, right? Like
Mm.
those who remember that one.
Yeah, legit. And speaking of remembering things, remember to check us out at patreon.com/the frightful howls. We have a bonus episode every month curated by and for just our patrons, a Discord server. We have Salt's Fantastic Almanac, a monthly live occult book club just for you guys where we discuss a text of your choosing. We just finished one that was like Exuma 2024 film, the Korean one, as well as The Northman by Robert Eggers in 2022, which was really fun because they tied, so we compared them. Oddly easy to compare too. We have show notes for every
Mhm.
episode and more. And one of the things that we is more now is we have a new tier. So we're almost at 2 years of the podcast anniversary. This is episode 50. And we finally have a new tier. So just a quick little note on that. Our normal one, Prestigious Carsus, that's the bonus eps, the Q&As, right? The almanac, the show notes, the Discord access, Esoteric Book Club, all that stuff. The new tier is if you like the almanac, which I know you all do, and if you're enjoying the kind of St. Nicholas's Day candle service that Key and I put out, this time you can, for $30 a month, join in for a wonderful little opportunity to do magic with us, meaning that each month your name and petition will be given over to a deity, saint, or spirit that one or more of us have a relationship with, and then all three of us will cast it on behalf of the community. And so while these petitions will obviously involve fortune drawing and road opening technologies, the specific blessing that we're soliciting will have its origin in our very own almanac's predictions. So depending on the almanac and what we're seeing, we're going to try and ameliorate some of the negative and bring in the positive. So if you want to sign up for this tier, your name will automatically be entered into the petition that we're going to do for the group, and Salt, Key, and myself will all individually cast for it. So you're getting triple the love. If that sounds fun to you, head on over to patreon.com/the frightful howls and join us in the co-creation of all this fun magic. And if that's not something you're able to do right now, one way to support us is giving us a like, rating, and review on Spotify, iTunes, or wherever you're listening to us. It helps us fight the demiurge of the algorithm, which is constantly trying to get us to build more pyramids. It's very confusing. We're trying to trying to ease out of that one. It's a lot of labor. You know, a lot of us, some of us already are tired from leg day,
Mhm.
lifting with our back all day long.
Yeah, yeah. Um, much like the old man of the pyramids, we are furiously praying to Pythagoras to understand what the fuck is happening with all this geometry.
Precisely, precisely. Yeah, yeah. And also, obviously, check out his services. You know it. He offers personalized coaching and magic and mediumship. Learn how to scry, learn how to meet your spirits. Sorcery for hire, readings, custom talismans, oils, tools, you name it, he does it. I do book and photomancy readings, and Salt's books are closed, but the almanac is worth its weight in gold, so check out the Patreon again. And lastly, hit us up on social media. I'm at Dragon Cunning, Salt is at SaltCNC, and Key is at barnowl.key, because he do be finding owls just randomly in the woods, in the forests, in the roads on the way to
Mhm.
gym.
They just keep coming. It's well, these screech owls even,
Mm.
perfectly ominous for the episode to come.
Well, we said it's buying his first grimoire and a Botanica key. Tell us the story. How did it all work out? Why Black Pullet?
Oh man. Yeah, so when I was in school and I was just first getting into magic and all this stuff, I was like, okay, well, there's enough random shit on the internet that I've tried that started to work. Where I was like, oh, this is real. Oh no.
Oh, yes.
I have to get as good at this as possible, as fast as possible, and then do nothing else forever.
And then pontificate about it on a podcast.
Yeah, all worked out, right?
Hmm.
So, at this time, I also have broke college student vibes, no money.
Mm.
So I hop the bus and go downtown in the city I'm living over to this one Botanica, or roll up, and I'm like, what's the cheapest real shit you have that works? They're like, I don't know, man, try this. And hand me a copy of the good old Black Pullet, the black and gold Wiser one that we mentioned earlier. Then I was like, okay, cool. Word, buy it. And I make a bit of a wager against myself where I'm like, I am going to use the grimoire to make money. And if I make money off of it in statistically improbable ways, I will use that to buy quote unquote better grimoires to do more magic and to get more grimoires.
It's a
And
Ponzi scheme.
yeah, very clever 1760s French blue chapbook authors.
Yeah,
Very,
yeah,
very clever of you. But yeah, and as led us all to this point, it worked.
yeah. Oh, fucking yeah. That's what I love to hear.
Yeah, this is a grimoire that holds a very fun spot in my heart. Just as something that kicked off a lot of the weird shit that I've gotten myself into today.
Hmm. I
Yeah.
love that. Gotta have that experimental desire, right?
Hmm. Yeah, and just the do magic to get more magic and do more magic.
Hmm.
It's very luckily it nicely feeds back on itself.
Hmm.
Just a little background on like what this weird book is and kind of its history of showing up in cheap mass market paperback format. The Black Pullet, variously published as The Hen with the Golden Eggs, The Black Screech Owl, Treasure of the Old Man of the Pyramids, and other titles to these effects, first showed up as best I've been able to find in a form recognizable as this text in 1740 to 1750-ish, but really gained popularity in its current form after being like strongly rebuked by Arthur Edward Waite during a period of like French Egyptomania, for lack of a better term.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Because it was in Rituals of Black Magic.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, yeah, by A. Waite.
Hmm. And this being published in the wake of the at times successful, at times failed French invasion of Egypt and Syria, with like the Napoleonic forces in the east. This all fueled a fascination with Egypt as well as revolutions in printing technology and the availability of these like mass market paperbacks to cater to the fantastical and whimsical and even the occult. So rising out of this period, we also find like the Grand Grimoire, Red Dragon by its other name, from which our podcast takes its title.
Yes, yes, indeed, indeed.
And yeah, really there was this explosion of like ephemera, and with ephemera came occult ephemera. Um,
Mm.
so one of the things that I think really plays into that motif and interestingly situates this book into, this very particular time and place in the edition that we're using today as well, which will be included in the show notes, the book itself starts with like this frame narrative describing how the alleged author came to possess the occult knowledge contained within the book, being himself an officer in the army that was, invading Egypt at the time, who was commissioned by Napoleon himself to survey, quote unquote, the pyramids.
Check him out.
Yeah, each and every one of them. Just
Yeah.
go figure it out.
You got if you've been to Egypt, have you seen the pyramids? One thing about Egyptomania of this time period and the whole Art Deco revival is
Mhm.
that, like, as horrible and colonial as that was, we now have so many rings that have scarabs on them that are made of gold. For the two people who know, I'm referring to PGM 5, 213 to 303. That's for those listening, that's page 104 on the bets. That's Hermes' ring, right? It's like
Hmm.
it's the one that has to have like the scarab on gold, and it's gotta have space for you to write the thing on the back. Anyway, it's thanks to the Art Deco Egyptomania that we so many are available on Etsy. This is where our brains go, guys.
Hmm. Only here on the Frightful House. Uh,
Ah. I'm sorry, continue.
listen, we make it work.
We make it work. I remember I
And
showed Salt when I got it, and I was just like, please, please, please note how perfect this is. I can finally do this fucking spell.
mhm.
I remember that, yeah. The
Mm-hmm.
scarab ring.
The scarab ring. That's
Um,
Hermes' ring to you, mister.
uh, And for those intrepid occultists looking to work with the material we'll be talking about today, get that scarab ring and bust the scarab off. And now you have a free scarab, and you also have a ring that you can carve these talismans into.
Too true. Too true.
In any case, our French officer, pyramid surveyor, is attacked and wounded with his whole regiment killed off, being the sole survivor, drags himself very whimsically toward the pyramids and is like staring into the sun, being like, "Oh, what was me? I'm dying." At which point, a very cartoonishly extravagant panel removes itself from the wall of the pyramid, and a mystical old man emerges, who will soon become the protagonist of our story.
It's the quest NPC.
Exactly, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's it's a very like Monty Pythonian energy throughout this whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
Old man distributing unguents from the pyramid. I suppose it would be Ex Machina if we want to go that pyramid power direction, but anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So during the recovery, this very spirit driven interaction happens where the old man is like, "Hello, officer, you are my son now, and you magically understand the Turkish language."
Mm-hmm.
He proceeds to teach him at extravagant pace the many liberal arts and sciences, and eventually culminating in an education in the occult sciences. Again, the edition dates itself pretty concretely, with the French army's retreat from Egypt, which would make our story happening in 1802.
Mm-hmm.
And I think drawing upon a lot of the now readily available source materials regarding like the occult sciences at the time in France, and this explosion of publishing with some editions of the Poulet and especially the Screech Owl containing lists of other grimoires, being like the old man will have an advertising aside being like, okay, buy this edition of the Enchiridion of Pope Leo from this bookseller. All the other ones are shit and won't work, but this one's good.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
um
Very like a
which
Cyprian, right?
Yeah, exactly. And in drawing on these sources, he goes on a colorful exploration of familiar spirits, which is as follows.
I could also talk about the familiar spirits. Socrates, as well as Pythagoras, and a few other wise men, had his. I have one also. He is near me when I have need of him. This will no doubt seem strange to you, but even if your eyes do not convince you of the truth, you will be able to believe it if you have any confidence in Socrates, Plato, Pythagoras, Zoroaster, Proclus, Porphyry, Iamblichus, Ptolemy, Trismegistus, and other wise men to whose enlightenment one must add those who give us a natural knowledge.
Those are some name drops right there.
Those are some name drops, and honestly, those are also all my boys. Like,
Real. Real.
you guys know. Like,
Mhm.
these are the people that I love and cite. And I mean, obviously not just because I mean, even, Giambattista della Porta and all these other early modern Renaissance magicians are also citing these same guys. But I just love that Porphyry and Proclus are included. They're not often included.
Mhm.
Pythagoras always for sure, Zoroaster, Iamblichus, Ptolemy, yeah, absolutely. But like, shout outs to the Neoplatonists that aren't just Plotinus.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Proclus especially here. Like,
Yeah.
the old man's rapping.
Yeah, yeah, he's like, check this lineage, bro. Like that's why he had like a whole tomb get unveiled dramatically for the protagonist to come in.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I do get that platonic solid chamber going.
Yeah, legit. It makes like Reggie Rock from Pokemon noises the entire time.
Oh man. And for all those Pokemon nerds out there, the Battle Pyramid literally having the Regirock in it. But anyway. Oh man. The three of you who got that, hit the DMs. But yeah, so in the Battle Pyramid, the old man from this lineage and its power proceeds to give to the officer 33 familiars,
Okay, work.
which, yeah, based.
Yeah, same amount of time Jesus was around.
Mhm.
Not a coincidence, I'm sure.
Exactly, yeah. And in the course of doing so, calls upon one of them to produce the what is, in my opinion, the single coolest and also most impractical magical artifact ever specified in a grimoire.
Okay.
But fuck it, I love it. Which is a 6 foot long golden serpent wand.
Okay,
Wait,
guys,
wait, 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 wait. Hold on, hold on. Take back everything you just said. Shut the fuck up. Where's mine?
That with a golden chain is capable of bending itself into a circle through which upon writing on the wand with India ink a set of very Solomonic looking magical characters, you can fly through the air.
Okay, hold on. I'm asking my familiars for this. I'm sick of this shit. I'm sorry. I gotta go talk to them. I'm like, where the fuck is mine?
Materia
Oh man.
envy. Well, not materia, but tool. Yeah, you know what? What I want to know is why is Janus and Jam? Why I don't know which one it is. Why is Janus and Jambres, appearing out of pyramids and shit, talking to weird French guys? Like, since when?
Can we do a Janice and Chambers episode, please?
Yes. Oh yeah, there's so much.
And that's on you, Salt, because those are your boys.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, sometimes 6 foot serpent ones, they're just necessary.
I fucking need that shit, dude. I need to bend into a hula hoop. I can like hula it around my hips and just fly off.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. And this grimoire is so fun because like the conjurations are not ever lengthy, apart from a couple, but that kind of bookend each of the operations. But um to me, like there's a very sort of Moses-y quality to it almost, where it's just like after you do all the preparations and consecrations of yourself and like, literally seclude yourself in a pyramid for 80 years to grind out the purity necessary for these acts. It's like 3 words, just
Mm.
barbarous names, which in my exploration of this text, I don't actually think are the name of the spirits that are being called upon. I think they are something far funkier, but more on that to come. So, with the serpent wand of art, after a fantastical voyage up and out of the pyramids, there is one of the funniest instances of blatant grimoire plagiarism I've ever seen in my life, which is just straight up, here is the circle by which you conjure spirits, and it is the circle from the Grand Grimoire,
Mhm.
including the one ass, two ass annotation for where
Oh, the
the
assistants.
yeah.
I'm
um
I'm I'm 6 years old, I know.
yeah, but I'm like,
How much you want to bet as a publisher, like printer issue, right? Where they're like, you know what, we've already got the woodblock plates for this. Let's just chuck them in.
mhm,
Yeah.
yeah, and I'm like, fuck it, it'll work. It's a good enough magic circle from a reputable enough evil grimoire. Throw it in. And with the wand and the circle provided, these are kind of the only novel mechanisms by which the magic is done and new talismans can be created, uh, which is interesting all unto itself. Especially given the old man's suggestion that a lot of these spirits that are being called upon are, a whole hodgepodge of all of the four, classical categories of elementals, along with celestial and infernal powers, and also sometimes jinn, depending on the edition, which all of those things might be depending on who you ask.
Mhm.
So proceeding on from that set of the funkiest tool and the most plagiarized tool, we get into what I think makes this text so extravagant, which are the talismans themselves. In the more popular editions, like especially the wiser one, there are 20 of these. And the talismans themselves, as the old man has them, are all, gold and silver and beautifully inlaid pieces of jewelry. But he's like, no one can afford these things if they're not, living in a pyramid for 80 years, doing the
Rub
magic.
it in my face, old man. Just kick me while I'm already down. He not only is
Literally.
like, hey, here's this cool magic, also, you're poor, so I don't expect you to have the bling. I'm like, wow, it hurts, not gonna lie.
Mhm. Yeah, it's like the bourgeois old man of the pyramids.
Yeah, wait, hold on. How did he was like the chat emoji and you were like the
Yeah.
unconfident walking away virgin. Wait, hold on a second. Quick question. How did you feel reading this as your first grimoire that you bought with a small amount of money to make a slightly larger amount of money with?
Oh man, I was so pissed until I got to the end where the old man does a 180 and he's like, now that I have told you about all these things, here is the infinite money hack, which is how to make the titular Black Pullet.
Okay, okay. So he made up for it. Cool.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We'll get there.
Hmm.
We'll crash the global economy one golden egg at a time, you know?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's a new gold standard actually, is what it is.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Yeah, the old man rug pulled the Ottoman Empire was a whole thing.
He was literally, I was about to make a cryptocurrency joke. I was like, he literally rug pulled the Ottomans, yeah. And like, and it's like on my Ottoman reclining couch with my Persian rug. I
Oh man.
don't even know where we're going with that joke. I think we're just doing free word association at this point.
At this point, yeah.
Hmm.
We're too deep in the pyramids.
Hmm. The old man's, it was like, yeah, the joy of this spell is that it only takes up but a single green candle.
Yeah. Oh man, it's like
God, this is truly an episode for like 5 people.
oh man. Okay, so to aid us in our conjuration of the celestial and infernal powers of this free word association game of an episode, the we are presented then in sequence a set of talismans that much like the greater key from which these texts are very much a drawing influence, they serve as both, tools for various effects, but also to aid the operator in the conjuration of additional spirits.
This one was served to conjure the celestial and infernal powers. Put the ring on your finger and the talisman over your heart. then pronounce the following words: Siras Itar Besana, and you will perceive the effects.
That there's like my brain rot's inserting like clapping emojis, like, and you will perceive the effects.
We're going emoji magic now. Oh no. Oh no.
No, but like it is quite a statement. I like when grimoires do that. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
What happens when you add a glitter emoji and a crystal ball emoji at the end though?
I dare not even think it. It's pyramids emojis only for me.
Mhm.
Too powerful, I see.
Hmm.
Yeah. But as was mentioned there, these talismans do not come alone. Each one is accompanied by a ring, a set of characters that is then engraved into the ring, and also some barbarous words that do the effect. So this structure to me is quite interesting in that, there is a specific ring instead of just, for instance, the ring of Solomon that you would wear otherwise, or any number of magic rings. So, shout out to the scarab ring, I guess.
The one in this particular example, it kind of looks like the McDonald's logo. I'm just saying,
I don't like that you pointed that out, but I don't disagree.
Well,
Man, oh
now we
man.
know how McDonald's got all its money, right? And how
Now that's the
yes,
fucking golden arches right there. It was just the pyramids.
golden arches, golden hens, same thing, same thing.
This is episode 50, and the first one was on the Grimoire of the Golden Toad, Toad Bone. And now I'm thinking about making basilisks. Putting a toad, having it hatch the egg, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Wasn't that what you talked me down from doing when like within a
Hold
few
on,
when we
hold on. Okay, okay. Context, context. Salt was like, "Hey, what if I made a basilisk?" And I was like, "Absolutely not." As the dragon girl in our friend group, I will eat it. You will
Oh my
activate my
God.
draconic cannibalism, and I will consume that spirit.
it
Oh
would
man.
probably be the optimal situation in which, when someone does something like that.
I There were also other reasons that I was discouraging this, given the nature of
Yeah.
my cord.
Very good reasons, very good reasons, even the quarter side.
Yeah.
Now I'm older, I'm just like, oh, wow, okay, yeah.
Yeah. But hey, your spirits ended up agreeing with me, right?
Oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, what's a little basilisk between friends, right?
Not the glizzy of fucking art over there. That's what that is to me.
Basilisk Glizzy?
Yes.
Oh no.
Oh man.
I'm sorry, Key, continue.
Okay. So the old man, of course, giving further examples, produces another talisman that I think is, I would say, the most famous in the sense of this is the image that is frequently used when this text is written about by third-party sources as just an example of like how funky looking these like images are.
Mhm.
This being plate number 4, a talisman for love.
These two precious objects, my son, are destined to make you loved by the most beautiful portion of the human race. There is not a woman who would not be happy to please you and who would not employ all possible means to be successful at it. Do you wish the most beautiful odalisque of the Grand Caliph should be brought before you in an instant? Put the ring on the second finger of your left hand, press the talisman against your lips, and say tenderly in a whisper, "O nadis suradis manier."
And of course, the spirit appears and is dispatched to go about stealing the caliph's consorts. But the old man getting a little freaky with it in the pyramid, I guess.
Yeah, and then afterwards there's like other things that you say out loud.
Hmm.
There's like more names, and then as he speaks, the spirit appears. And it's interesting that it has a rose-colored wings, and he carries a woman enveloped in a white veil who seems to be asleep in his arms. And then when, he puts her down and lifts the veil, everyone is like, that is Venus incarnate. It is she. She's so beautiful, blah, blah, right? And
Mhm.
then she ends up saying like, yeah, I actually prefer you to the Sultan. It's like, damn, rubbing more. This whole grimoire is just hater material, to be honest.
It really is.
But it's interesting. The second one's a love one. It's a Venusian. It's
Mhm.
got like death symbols on it. There's like a scythe, there's an hourglass, there's like a skull and crossbones, there's like raining blood, and in the center is this beautiful flower.
Mhm. Interestingly as well, like the ring for this one is just like the sun, very
Yeah.
reminiscent of the first talisman in the book, even, which
Hmm.
some fun interplay there.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. And I also like that again that the spirit has rose-colored wings. It's really interesting.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's like, oh, like there's like a whole pink kind of Venusian vibe going on. Again, summons, whoever you want or is most beautiful, and will even take them from where they used to be or like what their
Mhm.
station was. So assuming, you could take someone else's partner or something like that, or someone that you really like is way out of your league, whatever. And then the talisman is kissed to the lips, right? Not placed over the breast.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. The structure of this one to me is very, Pentacles of Venus, like in its
Mm.
effect, and even the spirit that is called, like in its attachment, has a similar vibe going on.
Hmm.
And like I think I don't know, there's something always interesting to me when these parallel grimoires are kind of like stealing from themselves almost, and like kind of the authors cannibalizing a bunch of other source material and putting it together into a new workable system that bears a lot of the same attributes, I guess.
What you're saying is we need, like the website TV tropes, right? We need the website grimoire tropes.
We do. It's true.
Yes.
I think some people have tried to do that already, and I believe that
Done a
their
pretty good
name.
job, yeah.
Yeah, they did a pretty good job.
And of course, the old man assembling his grimoire tropes, produces another talisman. And bear with us as the old man goes through his like and another one. And is like, I have so many cool talismans. Did you check these things out? Um,
Salt in the wound, and he called us poor.
oh,
Uh,
oh my God.
and he has
This,
better talismans than we have.
this old man. So luckily though, this one will help us get more talismans. And this is one that I've played with and kind of helped ignite my love of the magic of like treasure hunting in general. So good old number five, the mystical hand poking itself out of the cloud, holding a candle with what always jokingly looked to me like the linking sigil from like DKMU.
Oh yeah, yeah. And for the listeners, this is figure number five, not talisman number five specifically, because it starts at the
Yes, yes,
number
yes.
three. Yeah,
Excuse me.
yeah. Hmm.
This talisman and this ring are not less valuable, but enable you to discover all the treasures which exist and to ensure you the possession of them. Place the ring on the second finger of your right hand, enclose the talisman with the thumb and little finger of your left hand, and say, Oneum parantes rasanastos.
And then like out of nowhere, a black bird, which has like a hood,
Mhm.
shows up with like a huge ass bag of gold coins.
Yeah, yeah. And like this will make really fucking weird birds show up.
I mean,
Just
evidently. Is that how you
yeah,
got my owl?
yeah. Plead the fifth talisman. Point number
Hey.
five. Anyway, yeah. No, I don't know, the birds like their treasure. They know all the secrets. So be good with the birds, people. Magic pro tip.
Hmm.
But yeah, this one does definitely allow you to find some like really weird shit. And like just a fair warning about this grimoire is like some of these spirits are just fucking like freaky.
Hmm.
Like they're weirdos. Sometimes very uncomfortable. And this grimoire itself does have a reputation for like a particular darkness in parts of the world, like especially the southwestern United States. In shout outs to Artata for talking about that the other day and being like, yeah, this book is evil.
He was telling you that like it has a reputation even to the point like certain like groups of sorcerers will take their name from the grimoire, right?
Yeah, yeah. And certain prayers will explicitly reverence this grimoire in saying, remove any magic produced by this book.
Specifically the Black Pullet, yeah.
Hmm. Which is always very interesting for oral charming, like especially as well with like the Cyprianillos and things like that, or like the various Enchiridions, where it's like remove the magic that was done by this object
Mm-hmm.
that takes on kind of a life of its own and becomes a spirit all unto itself.
Mm-hmm.
And speaking of, kind of freaky spirits and really weird effects that are psychedelic and jarring and kind of odd is good old figure number 6.
You see, my son, what the virtues of these talismans and rings are. When you know them all, you will be able, without my aid, to perform such miracles as you judge proper. Replace in the casket those of which you have made proof, and take this one. They will enable you to discover the most hidden secrets. You will be able to penetrate everywhere without being seen, and not a single word in the universe can be uttered without it coming to your ears, whether you wish to listen to it yourself or have it brought back to us by your agents when you order them to do so. To prove it to you, repeat these words and place the talisman near your ear while you hold the ring tightly in your left hand. Nitre Rado Sunandam. And this one's giving the Ring of Hermes from the PGM
Mhm.
because it's supposed to like give you like the full knowledge of all the different like peoples and like what they, are conniving about because it's like, oh, the Grand Mogul has decided in his private council that he must declare war on the Emperor of China and the different like voices like, oh, there's this rumor in Constantinople the Sultana was carried off and the Grand Sultan was in despair. I'm like, dude, that happened 5 minutes ago, actually.
What a fucking devious lick from the old man.
Yeah. It's like, oh, you want to like prove that that's actually her? Well, let's spy on the Sultan or on
Mhm.
the exact situation that's going on in his empire.
Can I just say, I do quite approve that he had the eunuchs thrown into the sea because if history has taught us anything, it's that they are very dangerous in political positions.
There's been
I'm
a
just saying,
lot of like Qin Dynasty eunuch memes lately on social media. It's
they're
like,
not
your
memes. They're not
concubine
memes.
2 is poisoning you, concubine 6 is poisoning you, concubine 7 is poisoning you, your first eunuch is poisoning you.
Mhm.
It was actually all the eunuchs.
Oh yeah.
Oh man. And I love the commentary from our narrator being like, oh, what mischief I have caused without wishing it. And then the old man is like, fuck it, dude, it's fine.
Yeah. And then the spirit kept shade, like he just continued to whisper things to him,
Mhm.
which very useful.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, there's a talisman that I like quite a bit, but like another kind of freaky one. Um, just weird spirit. And interestingly, the structure of this talisman, we have 4 spirits kind of surrounding the image, name wise, and our ring has our 4 planetary symbols. So wink, wink, nudge, nudge, being Venus, Mars, Moon, Saturn, and some interesting characters. So this one quite fun. Apply other Grimoire tech and call those guys up because it's quite the thing, quite the spectacle, if you will.
Yeah. So when you've done this one, did you find that the spirit would like spew random world facts, like from around the world of current events? Or could you also get it to narrow down like what you want to hear?
For me, it was actually pretty difficult to get it to do specific things.
Mm.
Like, it was very spontaneous oracle of political intrigue
Mhm.
and kind of mirrored what was going on in the book, where it's like major geopolitical events would be commented on. So around the time, this was a lot of the presidential candidate has convened a private council to like make such and such decision with the debate upcoming. I'm like,
Mm.
cool word. Um,
Mhm.
so it is actually really good to test your mediumship with this because it will spew things that are immediately verifiable
Mhm.
and very quote unquote loud spirit, I suppose. Even those who are still developing a lot of mediumship. I have encountered like some ease with this. So try it out. Just know that Spirit's a weirdo. And what you deem political intrigue is Tuesday to this guy.
Hell yeah. I like that. Sassy little buddy that just
Mhm.
outs everyone's political machinations to you. I like that.
Yeah, yeah. Very useful.
Hmm.
If
Wait,
not,
wait, wait, wait. Can you do like stock market manipulation with this shit? Can you like, like those Instagram accounts that follow like various political leaders and like where they're trading?
oh yeah, that would be interesting. I'm like, yo, what's Pelosi buying today?
Nancy Pelosi. But again, if they're just going to spew random facts, you may not be able to fully narrow them down. But I'm sure there's a
Yeah,
way you could get them to talk about what you want to talk about.
yeah, absolutely. And this is one that I definitely want to go back to. And more to come on this guy in the Discord because it has been a while since him and I had a little chat. So
Hmm.
but yeah.
What's a B key?
Oh
Unofficial
man.
Akasha Record denial server by Dochi.
But the beyond the political intrigue of who's winning all the awards, what's up, Dochi? Oh, and a much more directable version of the previous here in figure number 7, one that divulges the secrets of even the most discreet man to you.
Place this ring on the little finger of your left hand and a talisman to your right ear, and the most discreet man will divulge to you his most hidden thoughts. Here are the two words, Noctar Reban. And if you add a third word, which is Barantha, your greatest enemies will not be able to prevent themselves from loudly publishing their projects against you. In order to convince you, I'm going to have appear before you one of the bays of Cairo, and he will impart to you all his schemes against the French.
I like how after he dismisses the spirit, he comes back in 15 minutes and explains about like how they made a treaty of alliance with the English, and then the armistice concluded with the French being broken. And it's like, oh,
Mhm.
okay, work. Like, thank you for just completely outing this plan to me.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. And like, I don't know, there's a through line with a lot of the commentary in this book of it being so situated in like historical event. Um, that makes me very happy
Hmm. Hmm.
because I'm like, yeah, this I'm doing magic in historical events, so should this guy.
Hmm.
It's um it's one of the things I find really interesting as well is like the direct relation to like both contemporary political affairs and also military affairs, right? Because you don't too often see that in grimoires. Like you'll often see something like, oh, this will please a person in power and so on. You rarely get specific individual names. You rarely get like you say in historical context, and you also don't often get like talismans meant to assist, essentially people in engaging in acts of statecraft. But when you look at astrological texts, for example, like Sabin Bisher or even Goda Banati, like they were obviously very much offering their services to the ruling class, assisting them, divining for them, providing oracles and campaign and so on. Like, I mean, if you take a look at Theophilus of Edessa's work, right, it's literally crammed full with mundane astrology techniques for armies on
Hmm.
campaign. So I do find it really, really interesting that the Black Pullet here is like introducing these. And
Mhm.
interestingly, there does seem to be something about the period and specifically like the Napoleonic period because you also see like references to Napoleon in Robert Cross Smith's writings, for example. Yeah, it's fun to be honest.
Mhm.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Such a good point.
It's the explosion of you know the literature of conquest and colonization and exoticization.
Yeah. This one's got a unicorn on it.
Yeah, that it does.
And some very Venusian characters.
Hmm. And especially with like the weird tongue that it possesses as like the this probing into the minds of those who had sent off their.
Very, yeah. It's serving it's giving a little to Buvaneris for sure with
Mhm.
this one.
Yeah, yeah. And of course, one that oh, to me is also a bit Tuba Veneris.
Oh yeah,
Uh
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, good old figure number 8.
It will serve to activate as many spirits as you wish to undertake or to stop operations, which would be contrary to you. The magic words are Zorami, Zytux, Elastot. We will not at this moment make any experiments. Tomorrow we will go to the shores of the Nile, and we will have constructed a bridge of a single arch on which we will shall pass to the other side of the river.
I love the how just bizarre the old man is. He's like, here's this talisman. It's awesome. Fuck it. We're gonna go do this other mystical task that will not be explained.
But yeah, like getting spirits to do things for you, right? This is very like building the pyramids. All jokes aside,
Mhm.
it's reminiscent quite of the Testament of Solomon for sure.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
I kind of like that he's, building infrastructure and stuff, though. Pretty helpful guy.
Hmm. And just
Mhm.
even to me on a talisman, it looks like there's like a deer with antlers.
Mhm.
There's like a fish, there's all these symbols and stuff. It just feels like, like multiplying and feeding worker spirits because the figure is also holding some kind of grain or flower. And then the ring has like a hand holding an arrow with the martial symbol.
Yeah, yeah. It is very like I don't know. I think the matrix of these constructions are like really interesting, like comparing the talisman against the ring against the seals, being like undertaking or stopping operations. Like we have the obvious increase, but also the obvious decrease. And like having that balance and seeing which one relates to the piece of the puzzle, I find to be like, I don't know, the practical side of it. So like having some of the rings and being like, okay, yeah, these can even stand alone sometimes and just talismanically provide their virtue, provided that they are activated in conjunction
Mhm.
at some earlier stage. I quite liked. So, contrary to the infrastructure project of number 8, good old number 9 is one that I have played around with probably most extensively, just because this is the one that makes rain. And what better way to test your magic than weather, as Svinga has often talked about.
Indeed.
They have the property of destroying everything, of commanding the elements, of calling down the thunder, hail, the stars, earthquakes, hurricanes, waterspouts on land and sea, and of preserving our friends from all accidents. Here are the words which one must pronounce. The numbers indicate each thing that you wish to operate. First, you pronounce Dital, Barandos. Second, Ridas, Talimo. Third, Atrocis, Narpida. Fourth, Usur, Itar. Fifth, Hispen, Tromador. Sixth, Paramphes, Histanos.
Mm-hmm.
And it's got two sphinxes on it, which is my name.
Woo!
You do be
But yeah.
plucking stars.
Thank you. But I love weather magic, and I believe it's one of the easiest ways to prove to yourself that magic is real. Because if you can make it rain with no clouds, or if you can make it hail in the summer, you're doing something right. Especially on command, obviously.
Mm-hmm. One of the fun things about this talisman is you only need to make it once for it to be multimodal. Like just depending on what conjuration you use and repeat, can
Mhm.
bring about the different phenomena. And making our way through and continuing to compete with the Key of Solomon.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, even sharing some elements of the solar design, right?
Hmm.
Here we have invisibility.
Talisman and the ring will make you invisible to all eyes, even those of the spirits. Only the great being could be witness to your steps and your actions. You will penetrate everywhere into the bosom of the seas, into the bowels of the earth. You can likewise survey the airs, and no action of men can be hidden from you. Say only Benatir, Cararcao, Dedos, et Inarmi. And interestingly, it says here, right, that they end up like walking through the walls of the pyramid,
Mhm.
like seeing directly through, like two Arabs who were on the plane, and they were ransacking a tomb. So interesting remote viewing, interesting invisibility, interesting ability to basically like bilocate.
Yeah, yeah.
This is the remote viewing one because it also makes sure that other people, except for God Almighty, cannot spy on you in return.
The talisman's being used here as well. Kind of give like new moon kind of energy. Like when I
Mm,
say energy, obviously not in the. But the ring itself obviously has a picture of the moon. The talisman itself has a picture of the sun. It's like ah, occultation, right? Like the moon
mm.
being obscured by the sun. It's kind of the vibe I'm picking up just from looking at it.
Hmm.
Yeah, 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 I
Obviously,
like that a lot.
mm-hmm.
You know, And continuing on the sequence of like, remote viewing and the occultation, we have like the Ouija board planchette
Oh, it is kind of a planchette, yeah.
with figure 11.
And even the eye. Oh, with the
Yeah.
4-3-2-1. Oh, it looks kind of like the yeah, this is really Ouija board.
Mhm. Yeah, imagine rolling up to the function with this ring, in 1830 in Paris.
I past the aux cord, dude. Like
Yeah, yeah.
This talisman and ring will serve to transport you into whatever part of the world you judge appropriate without running any danger. Say merely these words: Veritas, Palastrian, Terpandu, Astrata, Pericata, Ermas. But I hope you will not make use of these means to leave me without my consent. Promise it to me.
And of course, he responds, "My father, I swear to it."
Good
The
lad, good lad.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Good boy.
Mhm. And like within the frame narrative, it's so interesting the question of what is this event that's happening between like the old man and the officer himself, like in this interplay of like, is the old man a spirit? Is this happening completely in like the dying dream sequence of the officer, or like
Mm-hmm.
what is actually kind of going on here? All fun questions and something to ask the old man.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, this notion that like even this magical technology can physically transport him away from his pyramid.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, dude, just teleport back to the pyramid. I don't know. But
Get your ass back to the pyramid, dude.
yeah, literally. Why do you leave, bro? Come on, we got the Ouija board ring.
Yeah, literally.
But
Earth
yeah,
is Earth is out of Ouija board rings. Goodbye.
goodbye.
I've always hated you all.
But yeah, and continuing on with our Ouija board sequence. We have the Ouija board, but
Yeah,
this
this was the
is
actual board, and it's also got Scorpio and Libra.
yeah, yeah.
And Mars
But
and Taurus, I think.
I think that's
yeah.
just a little guy, top right.
Oh, okay. It's not Taurus, it's just a guy. Never mind.
Yeah,
I
he's
love
just a little guy. He looks chill. He looks happy. He's
I
vibing.
mean, the moon in the middle of the talisman looks like it just smelled something horrible.
it. Oh man. But this is certainly my talisman from the book.
Oh, this is so key coded. Oh my God.
With the talisman and the ring, you'll be able to open all locks, no matter what secrets have been employed to shut them. You'll not need a key. Simply by touching them with the ring and pronouncing these three words, Saratap, Penisux, Otarim, they will open of themselves without difficulty. Make proof of this on the spot, my son. Close the casket which you see on that table.
And then what ends up happening was they close the casket. The man is assured that nothing can open it but the key. He touches it with the ring, says the words, and it opens itself. And the old man says that this will be the same situation with any prison, fortified castle, anywhere they may lock you up. So this is the original literal key talisman. You don't need a key, you just need B key. How was this the beginning of the lock picking stuff for you?
This participated in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Around the same time, I had some burgeoning similar interests, shall we say, in being places that I may or may not have supposed to been. Uh, yeah, absolutely.
Amazing. Well, lockpicking I know is your forte, both physically and with magic.
Mhm.
So this is a great one. Definitely people want to get their feet wet a little bit with like opening doors and all those kinds of things. It's a good talisman to try out.
Mhm.
I'm assuming it worked.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
a
Because I've seen you
classic.
open some insane shit before with other talismans, but like this is definitely
Mhm.
fun.
Yeah, definitely. And kind of its counterpart in number 13, right? For when you don't want to enter, but you still want to see.
Ooh. With a talisman and ring, you'll be able to see what takes place in all houses without being obliged to enter them. You'll be able to read the thoughts of everyone whom you approach and with whom you find yourself, and you'll be able to render them service or do them injury as you wish. It'll be sufficient to place a talisman on your head, and then to blow on the ring, saying, O Tarot, Nizail, Estarnas, Tantares. These words are for knowing the thoughts of people.
Nasty.
Oh, this one's spicy.
Hmm. Yeah, it's a really, really interesting one where it's like you read their mind and then you can choose to either render service or to punish the wicked and your enemies.
You can literally just insert pixels into their thoughts. And like give them, was it like a info hazards?
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Little cognito hazard even.
Yeah. This is the equivalent, this talisman's the equivalent of like mentioning to some random like crypto bro, like Roko's Basilisk.
Oh man. Speaking of basilisks, right?
Oh, I will eat them. Don't worry, crypto bros, you're safe as long as I'm around.
You got bigger things to worry about?
Oh no. Oh my
Oh
God.
man. For the talisman that will aid us in our in our rug pulls. Got number 14.
The talisman and the ring will serve you to destroy all the projects which could be made against you. And if any spirit wished to oppose your wishes, you could force him to submit to you. Place the talisman on the table under your left hand, or with a ring on the second finger of the right hand. You say in a bass voice while inclining your head, Sonapos tofrita, estamos perfita notaren.
Yeah, the mechanism of destruction of all these projects, right? Start a crypto project, destroy it, rug pull it, you know?
Yeah. Also, the ring on this one looks like it has like a hollow part, if I'm understanding the diagram correctly.
Yeah. This is a really funky one
Mm-hmm.
where it's just like this big chunky like ingot
Mm-hmm.
that goes on there that's hollowed out.
Mm-hmm.
Which I always thought was kind of interesting for like um you know when you destroy the project you make it hollow and
Mm-hmm.
like I don't know, there's a little bit of sympathy there. Plays nicely, but a lot of the some of the rings, like even in this section especially, are like so just spirit character heavy that I'm
Totally.
like, yeah, these guys are funky.
Mm-hmm. The next one is funky too, because like the sun, Saturn, Jupiter, Mercury, and then two moons just like FaceTiming each other in the bottom.
Yeah.
The talisman and ring have a property as extraordinary as agreeable. They will give you all the virtues, all the talents, and the inclination to do good by changing all substances which are of bad quality and rendering them excellent. For the first object, while elevating the talisman and with the ring placed on the first joint of the third finger of the left hand, it is sufficient to pronounce these words: Turan estonus fusa.
Yeah, the a lot of the gestural magic components of this are also really interesting to me, where it's just like, that highly specific instruction there. Like put the ring in exactly this position, raise the hand, do these things, and it will just pop off.
Gee, is this our second pengular Mercury of the Black Pullet because it basically reverses conditions to things?
Hmm. Very much so, yeah.
Because I was just thinking, like changing substances which are bad quality, making them amazing. It's very mercurial for sure. It's the Mercury symbol is featured most prominently in the middle of the actual talisman itself.
Hmm.
Yeah, and
But I
also
went
the first joint of the third finger, right, is under Virgo.
very true, very
Hmm.
true. Hmm.
So
Yeah.
we may have a bit of natural magic going on with this one.
Yeah, I do like what you guys are talking about with the gestural magic, and so you're very right to point out the which joints are associated with which planets and a zodiac.
Even then, the interplay with like the technology of the other rings and talismans of the book, like, maybe that is a consideration for all these things. How does this talisman behave differently if you were to put it on, a different astrological sign?
Mhm.
The one as follows. This is our direct lunar pentacle lift.
Talisman and a ring will assist you to know all the minerals and vegetables, their virtues and properties, and you will possess the universal medicine. There is no illness that you will not be able to cure, and no cure that you will undertake without success. Asclepius and Hippocrates will only be novices compared to you. You pronounce only these words, Reterum, Celibat, Cretaros, Isata, and when you are near a person who is sick, you will carry that talisman on the stomach and the ring with a St. Andrew's cross around your neck, on a ribbon the colour of fire. That's a bold claim.
That's a bold claim. It's also more involved. Like there's like a whole way to like carry it, right? With around your neck as opposed to on your fingers with the St. Andrew's cross and on like a red ribbon. Yeah,
Yeah.
I like this one a lot. The actual talisman itself is very pentacle-like, I would say, comparing to the Key of Solomon. And then also, I mean, just saying that like Asclepius and Hippocrates will be novices compared to you is so bold. Like, it's interesting one to heal. Have you done this one, Key, for healing?
I have done this one for far dirtier reasons,
Oh,
which is I took it to a plant biology class and used it to pass the exams while I was doing other batch.
wow, what a flex! I'm not even gonna lie, that's awesome.
You will know the vegetables. That much I can say.
Just imagining like your eyes glazing over in your skull as you're like in sophomore year writing a biology exam.
Just invoking the old man, being like the TA just staring at me while I'm like, Asclepius is but a fool.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like in Scientia, right? There's always an arc where the main character learns alchemy, and part of that process is always like basically they go through a test and it's like name every single plant that exists.
Oh
Is the
yeah.
prerequisite.
I love when spirits pull that shit on you too, and you're like, dude, no, like I'm busy.
Real.
Literally.
Yeah, it could be a test, but I ain't taking it right now.
I'm over here like, bro, here's the tradition specific substitute for all the other plants. Now go away. Oh man. But when that spirit does roll up on you and administer the test and you want them to be going away, we got number 17.
The talisman and the ring will keep you safe in the midst of the most ferocious animals, to subdue them to your will, to know them by their different cries, what they want, as they have a language among themselves. Mad animals will keep a distance from you, and you will make them perish forthwith by pronouncing the words which I am going to indicate to you. For the first operation, it is sufficient to say, Hokatos, Imorad, Surater, Markila. For the second, Drumantrem, Ricona, Estupit, Oxa.
Yeah, very interesting with this one that I always thought where I was like, you can just kill spell like crazy animals that are trying to attack you.
Oh my god, yeah.
That is not one that I have, provoked animals into attacking me to be willing to test, but it will certainly keep them kind of away. Definitely, the dogs and things of the roads do not like it. Yeah, quite interesting.
And Key, I know you're gonna discuss this later when we talk about making them, but like just for those who are following along the episode for now, you made them all out of parchment?
Yes, I made them all on parchment with like blessed ink as you would just any other pentacle. I even tried printing some at different points, and that seemed to be fine. I did try the old man's recommended technique of embroidery of the talismans. For those of you who have seen me sew charm bags together, I will tell you, you do not want me doing that, and that is why I only tried that once.
I trust you to tie things up. I don't trust you to sew.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, trying to embroider some of these talismans, although a fun endeavor and a nice little thing to do some cross stitching. I'm like, no thanks. I will leave that to the people who are good at that. Yeah, the parchment works just as well. The rings I have done in various states of ridiculousness. I've also done like parchment rings, like literally origamiing them together, and engraving the seals on them, or just like drawing them on with the same blessed ink, and seem to get the job done. If you see me trying to embroider talisman number 18.
Oh no. Oh yeah, I see.
The talisman and the ring will enable you to know the good or bad intentions of all the individuals whom you'll meet, to guarantee you of it, and to impress on their face a mark which will be noticed by everyone. It is sufficient to pronounce these mysterious words while placing the talisman on your heart and a ring on the little finger of your right hand. You will then say, Crostas, Verenot, Katipa, Garinos.
This one's got a really funky set of concentric circles with like the kind of smug bastard sun in the middle.
Hmm.
He's raising his
It
eyebrow like,
no, there are literal eyebrow action is occurring in this talisman for sure.
Hmm.
Interesting, the bottom glyph kind of reminds me a little bit of like an arrow hitting a bullseye.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I like the idea of like a solar kind of talisman that reveals the nature of people.
Yeah, revealing the nature not only to the wielder of the talisman, but like to anyone else who would like look
With
upon them. Like,
with a mark, right? Which
yeah.
you know could be physical, I imagine. It could also be a spiritual mark. It's you're giving a little mark of Cain or something. But
Hmm.
have you done this one?
This is one that I played around with only briefly, but like it does give you a really good vibe and make people kind of like easier to read, in my opinion.
But what is the mark?
The mark was not immediately clear to me.
Hmm.
It was definitely something where I was like, once it had been applied, I could just do that, even without the aid of the talisman. Like,
Mm.
for example, is my professor going to give me a quiz today? Because a lot of these were tested at school.
Hmm.
And but yeah.
I love it. So basically, it just makes them easier to read, and like the mark is something that persists in allowing you to read them whether you have a talisman on you or not.
Hmm. Hmm.
Love it.
Yeah. Funky one. One as well that I definitely want to return to now that a bit more practiced.
Hmm.
But yeah, one that I needed when I was doing the embroidery. Good old number 19.
this talisman and ring will bring you all talents and a profound understanding of all the arts so that you can perform with as much brilliance as the greatest masters and foremost artists. It is sufficient to carry the talisman and the ring in a manner you judge suitable while pronouncing these 7 words: Ritas, Onulun, Tersorit, Ombas, Salpitas, Quitata, Zamaraf, or adding afterwards the name of the art or the talent which you wish to possess.
I like this one a lot.
Yeah, this one's cool. And definitely the using it even as like an oral charm, reciting it daily is always good with like the name of that and allowing that to accumulate. And yeah, helpful. Very, very helpful one.
We
Um,
do advocate on this podcast for you to learn skills through magic. This is a good way to do
Absolutely.
it. Yeah, yeah. Learn, teach yourself some fucking art.
Mhm. Learn that embroidery, make these talismans, get the bag. Um,
Why didn't you do it then?
was definitely applied to other things.
Oh. Nasty.
Oh man.
Single track mind in college, I see. That's why you weren't, despite being such a good student, why you weren't paying attention to those quizzes.
Yeah, yeah. Just how to do radio broadcasting.
Hmm.
Oh man.
And I'm assuming the next one, figure number 20 for your gambling shit.
Hmm. Yeah, one of my faves. The good old another of the famous images from the grimoire that's used in a lot of different things. Good old sword hand.
The talisman in the ring will help you to win at lotteries and to make certain when playing a game that you will obtain the fortune of your adversaries. You will place the talisman on your left arm, adjusting it with a white ribbon, and the ring on the little finger of your right hand. Then you will say these words: Brokis for a selection, Pilatus for a combination of two numbers, Zotus for dice, Tulitus for four winning numbers, Satanitus for five winning numbers. Be sure to pronounce all the words when you are on a coin, or for a card game, you will pronounce them each time the cards are shuffled. If it is you or your partner, and before commencing, you will touch your left arm on the spot where the talisman is to be found with your right hand, and you will kiss your ring. All this must be done without drawing the attention of your adversary.
Especially for cards, this one works.
Yeah, I know because I've seen you crush a blackjack. Um, I love that it's like don't let them catch you doing this, and it's just
Mhm.
like random physical tells.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
You know, we did that Photomechas episode ages ago. Like
Hmm.
the gestures for Photomechas, I feel like the mudras or whatever they are, the hand symbols. Like I'm so good at pretending I'm not doing those, but I am doing them in public now. You know, I pretend like the one where you circle your temple, like I just pretend I'm scratching my hair. I'm just flicking like a piece of dust, you know?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's the classic.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
The time dust even.
The time dust for sure. Ooh, the next one's got a swan.
Hmm. Yeah, a very evil swan at that.
Mm-hmm.
Talisman and the written will enable you to direct all the infernal powers against your enemies or against those who would injure your friends. You will carry it in a manner which you consider suitable and pronounce merely these three words: Osvaraman Bisantaparos Noctator. He really is an evil swan, isn't he? Oh, chill
Mm-hmm.
out, mate.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, the director of all the infernal powers.
I mean, if you've ever to fight a swan, it's true.
Mhm.
Real, real. Or if you
Yeah.
take a dog out on a walk and it decides, oh, this pond looks really nice. Oh, look, these
Mm-hmm.
friendly white birds are also very nice. I want to go
Mm-hmm.
towards them. Oh shit, what's that? And it comes scurrying back.
Yeah, exactly. They are indeed the infernal powers. But in case you were not sure how to tell the infernal powers apart, the next one, which has a freaking bee on it and a serpent,
Mhm.
and an equation,
Don't forget the triangle. The triangle's important too.
indeed. The talisman in the ring will serve you to recognize what the infernal powers wish to undertake, and you can abort all their projects by placing the talisman on your chest and the ring on the first joint of the little finger of the left hand. You pronounce these words: Actatos, Katipta, Bajoran, Itapan, Marnatus.
That is obscenely useful for anyone practicing exorcism and like grimoire operations. Like the utility in that is kind of crazy, especially when these spirits always like to use underhanded means to kind of get around what you want or to, undermine you essentially. Like, yeah, this is something that would be very handy to have on hand.
This is like, why doesn't the Vatican have this? And then it gives the list of what the colors should be. So if you've ever like Googled Black Pullet talismans and you've seen people who've done them in embroidery and made basically like iron-on patches essentially out of them.
Mhm.
These are the color combinations, right? So for example, like dark blue satin embroidered in silver, or golden yellow satin embroidered in silver, or dark green satin embroidered in gold.
Yeah, the workaround to the devious old man's bourgeois pyramid.
Oh my God, rude.
Yeah, the as it is possible you have not had the means of making talismans and rings similar to mine.
Oh, first of again, rubbing salt in the wound, truly.
Mhm.
He's even just being like, I mean, you know, you're a potion seller, you know, my
Mhm.
potions are too strong for you. He's like, yeah, the my talismans and rings are too bourgeois for you. Perhaps you've not seen such glittering, gleaming gold before.
Yeah. And luckily for us as well, the rings can be composed of bronze steel,
Mhm.
which nice.
So when you were in college, how did you make the rings?
Parchment. I
Oh, interesting, interesting. So you didn't even like, did you still like word them around your fingers?
Yeah, I found an instruction booklet for how to make origami rings, and I would fold the parchment into the shape and then write the characters on them.
Ah, I see. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, it was quite the fun little arts and crafts day with the scroll.
Well, I can tell. But speaking
Hmm.
of arts and crafts, do I understand you correctly that there's a math trick as well?
Yeah, so the old man is, a devious agent of capital within this pyramid.
Hmm.
Um, and he gives a variety of secrets, primarily among them how to construct the titular, Black Pullet. But because it's a me episode, there is a math trick that he provides that certainly bears mention in certain editions, especially associated with the talisman and ring for winning at lotteries. It is a math trick of how to count cards. And to use your birthday along with a card trick to divine lottery numbers. Yeah, he is very devious for it. Um, so we'll post it in the show notes just because it's a bit tedious and weird, but it is quite actually, shuffling a deck of cards and applying numbers to each card, and then, adding it to the numerology of the day of the month on which you were born, and then those become like the roulette wheel numbers.
Oh, okay. I see what you're talking about. Yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. Okay,
So yeah,
great.
it's quite fun, and situating it in like early 19th century French lotteries that were notoriously easy to game and manipulate.
Mm-hmm.
It's quite the thing.
Totally. Well, wonderful. And you said there is a black pullet indeed. There's an egg in the end.
Yes, there is the classic instruction of how to have the black hen,
Mm-hmm.
which is taking the egg that you expose at noon to the gleam of the sun, and observing that it has not the least stain, choosing a hen as black as possible, uh, and it's quite funny because it's like if your hen is not perfectly black, just pull the other feathers out, which
Jesus.
not nice, but
Mm.
at least there's a workaround. Yes.
Yeah, yeah, I guess so, yeah.
But you cover the head of the hen with a hood of black material in such a manner that it can't see, but you still allow it the use of its beak because you gotta let it eat. You enclose it in a
Mhm.
box, also lined with black material, and you place that in a completely pitch black room, bringing it food and water only at night. You then give this hen the egg, and you allow the incubation of this thing to take place until a hen hatches that itself is completely black.
Fucking
And
based.
mhm,
No quote unquote basilisk required, apparently.
yeah, yeah. You just put him in a dark room and have him do his thing.
Hmm. And it's really interesting too because that's where the name comes from. Because he says he sees a little black pullet which stirred, got onto its feet after getting out
Mhm,
of the golden egg and then clucking faintly. And then
mhm.
the old man pronounces two words, Binusas and Testipus. This grimoire was doing like uh, words of power in a very similar way to, I would say, to Buonaris.
Yeah, yeah. Like the more like pass phrases that just allow the thing to be like, oh, I'm here.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah. Hmm.
Mhm. But yeah, even the overview of that particular edition of the book, it leaves out some of the content of others. Like we mentioned, some of these are way, way closer to Key of Solomon clones than would be comfortable for most copywriters these days. But having expanding upon that arcana to contain rings, to contain spirits attached, to contain, cantrips that involve the pentacles is kind of a development that happens if anyone is working that book hard enough and long enough that the spirits just start showing up and telling you how they work.
Hmm.
So it's quite nice to see, even sometimes compare and contrast against your own notebooks and see what's going on.
Totally. And what do you do with the black hen when you have her little pullet?
Yeah, I guess you propagate your chicken empire, right?
Because she finds gold for you, right?
Hmm.
Hmm.
Exactly. Yeah. The yeah, a bit tongue in cheek, but ultimately a very, very good treasure hunting tool.
Hmm.
And itself kind of a freaky little familiar.
Honestly, slay. Love
Hmm.
her.
Yeah, from whom the smallest particle of gold cannot escape.
I love that. Great treasure hunting stuff.
Mhm.
Maybe with this you can finally have all the money that you need to make the talismans as blingy as and bedazzled, bejeweled, if you will, as the old man.
Exactly, yeah. One could hope.
Mm-hmm.
One could definitely hope. Just through our display of these talismans, a la the old man, to his spirit adopted officer son.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think there's just tons and tons of stuff going on here.
Mm-hmm.
And even, just the ability to strip down even further the system as presented by, the grimoire in recollection being like, all the symbols, all the tools, all the conjurations, the rings and things are still there to be made and played with. And the spirits are still quite responsive and have taken on quite the fearsome reputation, as we mentioned. So, what these things are, I advise careful but diligent experimentation.
And in your experience, you said, that you were telling us how they were kind of like elementals.
Yeah, in my assessment, they were more elementals, but some of them got weird, like,
Mm.
and definitely crossed that line into you were a far freakier type of spirit who just got bound up in the oath to respond
Mhm.
to these calls and act in a particular way. Especially, some of the ones who are better at probing into like the minds and thoughts of people. Like there are sylphs that can do that, yes, but also, these guys are not doing it in that way.
Mhm.
There have been, attempts to reconstruct or argue that there's a construction of like corrupted Arabic through a lot of the conjurations in this text, the veracity of which has been confirmed by some, denied by others. It's, a matter of hot debate, but, there is a good case to be made that some of these things are just jinn. And,
Mhm.
of course, the jinn can be a lot of things. Good or bad. So
Yeah,
yeah.
totally. I also really just one thing I find interesting is there's all these debates online like, oh, the Black Pullet is like a hoax. It's not like a real grimoire. And it's just like, what you must have been born yesterday if you didn't notice that like all the many grimoires have like these strange fiction like stories and that involve how it was found and so on and so forth. These framing devices are all over grimoire history as well as grimoire scholarship, even down to the historiole of specifically saying that like these things are predicated on the pseudepigraphy of like a different author or were, atemporally inserted into the timeline of that particular author's like adventures and so on.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Even just to capture the fantastical of the time and place. Like a lot of these texts were not meant to last. They were considered ephemera at the time and, would disappear kind of into the aether as the magic wore out or was carefully preserved and carried on.
Mhm.
So it's all quite the thing. And, even this episode having kind of a whimsical quality of like a tour through the talismans, I think shows the kind of how outright bizarre this text is when compared to a lot of other things is just a showcase of a magician's magic
Yeah.
and being brought into the matrix of what's told in the story is 80 years of very careful development of pact and practice and subjugating other spirits for fantastical effects.
Hmm. Beautiful. So it's interesting, right? The ring, the talisman, the barbarous names, they all interact, they all cause this effect. They're all bound to each other by the system, and there's a whole bunch of spirits that obey it, and yet you don't even have to needle felt it or make
Right.
it or embroider it. Like they work. You've proven that they work just as well on parchment. The ring
Mhm.
itself doesn't even necessarily have to be metal, although certainly you could make them, and it wouldn't be terribly hard to either. You could just get some
Mhm.
ring blanks, the ones that like you would normally put a stone on like the flat part, but you could just engrave it there.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. The Dremel of art um comes in handy here.
Yeah, don't feel like you have to buy these from someone selling them for a lot of money. You can always make your own.
Mhm.
But if you like the convenience, there are people who've made them.
Yeah, and have made very beautiful ones at that.
Yeah,
Um,
genuinely.
and like that to me adds to the whimsy of this grimoire and like how fun it is like just how pretty the implements are and like how
Hmm.
a atypical they are for a lot of this work.
Totally.
Yeah, I think like, fitting together that puzzle piece of like, the spirits potentially even bound to the different rings, the seal as a, set of instructions that the spirits can latch onto and follow, with the inscribed, talismanic images or figures as sort of the same, not quite binding mechanism, but just the classic way of putting spirits into rings. And just the barbarous names being like, all right, cool, go do the
Hmm.
thing you have sworn the oath to do. Open the pathway to the magic contained within, or the compact of the given spirit, and have it carry out its task.
Beautiful. I have not worked as grimoire. Salt, I assume neither have you.
Not really, no.
Yeah, and so this was a real treat for the both of us to get
Yeah.
to hear this from you, and especially
Mhm.
because you've actually experimented with it. I know this and like Long Lost Friend and several others are, some of your bread and butter early on in the days, and so it's really fun to hear like, for those of you wondering, doing magic on a budget, like be bold.
Mhm.
And I love what you said that, you spoke to Tata about this episode and he had told you about like in the American Southwest, this notion of the Black Pullet as like an especially evil and pernicious grimoire,
Mhm.
almost have like a Cyprian-like reputation.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Just a really interesting thing, I think, especially with like this reputation of its links to the Grand Grimoire, like another very notoriously like freaky grimoire that has taken on a life of its own. And just having the ability to do all of like the quote unquote black magical tasks. Like this is the grimoire that does the love spells. This is the one that is capable of sending the infernal forces after people,
Mm-hmm.
doing devil conjurations. So I think that as well being a big motif. And for, the magic being, accessible, imported, and pretty easily workable, with enough diligence. And like if you happen to just be, oh, I'm doing my embroidery,
Mm-hmm.
but having that, you know, almost hidden in plain sight with how beautiful the designs are.
Yeah. Yeah, they actually are really gorgeous.
Quite the fun text, and one that, with the release of this episode, I'm very happy to return to. So looking forward to all the discussion that generates in the Discord, and if people do decide to try it, let's compare some notes.
Hell
The
yeah. Are you gonna give people homework now?
Yeah, absolutely. Say, for the embroidery enjoyers in the chat, they can definitely put some of these together. And other than that, we can pick a few and even compare against my own notebooks now that I've got some new tricks up my sleeve. I would love to see how they respond and interact.
Beautiful. Key, thank you so much. This was really fun. Happy 50th episode.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you guys for joining me on this, quite strange soiree through the every pyramid of Egypt.
Including the bet one.
And sometimes you just gotta find old men to teach you things.
Half my court.
Yeah.
Well, wonderful. And actually, on the note of the Black Pullet, I normally don't try and make the Akashic record this like in your face, but I have been listening to a lot of tech house and
Mhm.
other electronic music genres. So it's Steve Aoki's Black Pullet, literally that name, specifically the Will Sparks remix that is mine for today.
Hell yeah. And my Akashic record for today, given the surplus of beautiful talismans, it is Talisman by All Them Witches.
Great. I love all them witches,
Mhm.
literally and metaphorically. And no surprise, License It Apart is also from the Black Pullet herself,
Mhm.
which is specifically the first prayer to be recited before and after each conjuration. There's two of these, and this is the first one.
The celestial fire above is an incorruptible flame, always scintillating, the source of life, fountain of all the beings, and principle of all things. This flame produces all and nothing perishes except which it consumes. It makes itself known by itself. This fire cannot be contained in any place. It is without body or matter. It encompasses the skies, and from it emanates a little spark which makes all fire of the sun, of the moon, and stars. That is what I know of God. Do not try to know more, because that is beyond you. Such judge as thou art. Moreover, know that the unjust or wicked man cannot hide himself in front of God. No address or any excuse can disguise anything from his piercing eyes. All is clear to God. God is everywhere.
I'm allowed to have one basilisk egg omelet as a treat. Okay, I've been so good. I've been so patient. I've not been cannibalizing any other dragons. I get one basilisk egg omelet as a treat.